with high-level dignitaries. Our Secretary General was here, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, the Chair of the African Union. So I think we gave up with all the ceremony there. For the people that was here or that followed the meeting online understood the relevance and the importance of this whole story of Africa and also in the story of the UN. Today is a completely different scenario. First of all, thanks to all for coming. We appreciate your presence. We have done our best to make this whole to the level it should be, and we hope we were able. And I hope you will appreciate the today's presentation that is aimed to show and to discuss about the elements, the principles, and the different process that made it possible. From my side, before giving the floor to Carlos for his opening remarks, I just want to thank all the people is here. Many of you have been the real players that made it possible. We have the team, the Africa whole team, which is here. We have a procurement team, we have FMS, we have all the offices that participated, and we have all the suppliers, because we have to be sincere. Of course, this is the UN project, we were leading, we were coordinating, managing, but the actual work was made by the contractors and the supplier, the consultant that work here. I spent 8 years of my life to make it possible, very proud and honored, and even a little of emotion. But for these 8 years, I have always said that this is not a one-man show. So I always wrote in my email, we, because I am strongly convinced that only with the team spirit, we can get a successful result like I hope we did it here. So I will finish only with a very little Chinese proverb that say, when you give the rose, the smell or the perfume of the rose remain even when you leave. So I know that soon I have to leave, but I hope that the smell of this house will remain for the people of Africa. Thank you very much. Carlos.
Yeah, good morning, colleagues and friends and suppliers, and similar to what Antonio said, he spent 8 years of his life. Mine was 9. I started by in 2015 when the project was just approved by the General Assembly. And from there, the journey started with hiring the team. Fortunately, we had excellent team. Of course, we had few members of the team came and left, but we remained with the core team for the entire journey. Yesterday was the kind of the culmination of all the efforts. I thank all of you, Marcel, Eugen, Antonio, Telmaco, CG, Alec. I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of people, but the effort to create the event yesterday was amazing. And I was having a side conversation with David that usually we go into a soft opening, we do the testing, but we went straight into the big event, even without the soft opening. Everything went well, so thank you so much. But the journey was long, 8 years. We hit a few hiccups in the life of the project, but yet, as you heard yesterday in some of the speeches, we ended up finishing on time and within budget. I think this is a great achievement for a project of this size. And within the UN, it's kind of unheard of. I want to hear from my colleague in Geneva, how are you doing on the two aspects, budget and time? But I thought this finishing on time and within budget was the icing on the cake. So I'm not going to make a long speech. I know we have a program here. We're going to stick with it. I'm going to stay here with you until 12 noon because I have another meeting, but we can start. Thank you.
We were supposed to start with the presentation of CG, but due to a travel arrangement for Alec, we will ask Assad, who has been the project manager since the beginning, from the company who is in charge of the main, we call the main works. In fact, is the general contractor who did we manage the site and lead the coordination between the different suppliers under our supervision, and also made most of the civil works, the finishes, and also part of the technology, hard part of the technology in order to support Telmaco. So I give the floor to Assad for his presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. So thank you, Antonio. Thanks, Carlos. So my name is Assad. I work for a company based in Dubai called Ali. You allow me now to introduce my company to show the journey how we reached here to this iconic project. So as Alec, we are a company working for over a 20 billion dirham. So in dollars, we have a job in hand which over $5 billion. And we have a growth. We operate in three areas. So we have Saudi Arabia, we have UAE, and we have Ethiopia. So also here, I want to show you the diversity of our expertise. So we go from hospitals to museums to iconic projects to hotels, retails, airports. show that we have a long, above 20 years of experience, and this brought us to Ethiopia. So we started in Ethiopia in three projects. So we started here renovating the Prime Minister office, which was an iconic project. It was an old building. We have to renovate it. So it was a design and build, and it ended up to be a fast track project. We finished it in 4 months. So from freezing the design to finishing the project, it was 4 months project. From there, we moved to a Unity Park. I'm not sure if you have the opportunity to visit, which I advise everybody to visit, which is a continuous. This project, it's about 3 mini projects. So it's Mini Ethiopia, a Unity Park, which is a green area, and a zoo. It's a nice project. I advise everybody to visit. From there, we moved to the mayor office. It's similar to here. So it's a 60 years old building. We have to renovate, and we need to keep the concept, and we need to ensure the flow of the people. It's a high traffic project, high traffic building. So we managed to design and build that project, and it ended up like it's a nice project. It's a landmark in Ethiopia. And we came to the Africa Hall. Africa Hall, it was a 2 years project, almost 2 years. I want to show you here. So this is the concept, and this is what we built. This is the concept we received from CG, and that's what we built. So changing dreams into reality. Lastly, I finished, construction people are not good in talking, but I showed you what we can do better. So you allow me now to extend my thank you for Africa whole team, Antonio and the whole team, CG team, starting from David to Simon to the whole team, I'm not starting, and my own team. Special thanks for them and for our support office from Dubai. Without all this combination, we couldn't have achieved all this. Thank you.
Thank you, Assad. In fact, I was looking now that there is almost none from your team, and I was.
They are taking photos.
They are taking photos there. Marcelino is there, but if you wanted to invite, some of them. So if you want to invite Raul and the other, if they're still around, we will be very pleased to have them in the room with us this morning. So you can invite them to come. It was, as Assad said, a long common journey. And, you know, when you live side by side for 2 years, you're starting creating a human relationship, which in the construction project cannot be done remotely, because the construction is a physical exercise. And I think as I learned when I was young, so many years ago, because I'm not that young anymore, the site is a school of life. It is a real place in which everybody has the chance to exercise his own behavior, his own character. And I am sure that all of us went home in the last 2 years many times, a little upset, a little disappointed, sometimes with a little of anger as well. But what is extremely important, that we were able to overcome all these things. And finally, we are here all together with this dream, as Ali said, become reality. So I give the floor to David, who is representing the CG architects now. They have been involved even before me. They were involved since 2014, if I remember well, when they were entrusted with the design of this renovation based on the design brief that was made by some of the colleagues that are here. I see Lul, for instance. I cannot see Colin because he left, but he was one of the people that work with him to really came out with the design brief, the original design brief. And Carlos, that said that started 1 year before me, not only doing the brief, but also recruiting myself and the initial core team. And after that, they have been entrusted also of the support, the technical advisory for the work supervision. And now they are accompanying us also in the final phase, which is the handing over. So the floor is yours, David. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Antonio. Good morning, all. I'm David Kitgol, architect and principal at Architects Conrad Geiger, and I'm presenting today with my colleague, Moded Welde, who's the senior architect and studio manager for our Addis Ababa studio. So firstly, on behalf of our entire team, I'd really like to thank the UNECA for the trust and the opportunity to lead the design and documentation of this remarkable transformation project as architects and lead principal design consultant. It's been a true honour and privilege to work with the Africa Hall project management team and the FMS teams over the past 10 years to support the design, documentation and delivery of this remarkable transformation. So I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the leadership of the Executive Secretary, Mr. Clava Gatete, Antonio Bauer, and the Africa Hall team, and Mr. Carlos Haddad and the FMS team.
Sorry, David. The ES has just joined to do his recognition. Okay. If you can, please, he's here. It's okay. If you can, please, we will, please, Executive Secretary. Good morning. Yes. Thanks for coming. I appreciate very much. Yes, we were just starting. We were introducing the team and the supplier. Today is not a ceremony like we did yesterday. It's more a presentation of the project by the team who made it possible. So please, your remarks.
Well, before the remarks, you have to tell us what happened. Tell us the story first. So that everybody remembers what it has.
Yeah. We were in fact doing that. The story is that in 2008 here in this hall before the renovation, the leader of Africa gathered and decided that the technology and also the features, the architectural features were obsolete, and the hall needed to be refreshed, modernized, and rejuvenated. And in particularly, they said that it should become a monument to African history because of the story, the cultural, and historical, political, and also architectural heritage that was embedded after. At that time, it was 50 years. Now it's more than 60 years of use of this building. So the UN decided to renovate this building. It took some years to get the decision. You know how things work in our institution. But in 2014, the company Conrad Gadget was entrusted of the first design brief, and after that, it was entrusted by the final design in 2016 when the project was approved by the General Assembly with a budget of $57 million and an initial period of 6 years that now has been extended to 9 years due to several inconveniences that we faced, including COVID, but also including the bankruptcy of one of the company. Ali, for sure, we'll talk about that. What I said in my introductory remarks before your arrival, yes, is that such a project, such an ambitious and complex project is never a one-man show. It is possible only when an actual team is, with the right spirit, it is doing the work that is needed. And in this case, we have always tried to have a partnership approach, not only with our internal offices, which are well represented here. We have almost all of them, starting from procurement, finance, and all the others, FMS. We don't have to forget anyone, but almost all of the offices participated to this project. You have been in these last 2 weeks, you have seen which a joint effort we made to make it possible. So we have always had this partnership approach also with the supplier, because the one who actually do the job are the supplier, in this case, Alec, Telmaco, CG, but also the artwork restorer, which are well represented here, and we'll do that presentation later. So thanks to this spirit, thanks to this partnership approach, we made it possible, and we are very proud and honored to be part of this exercise, because we have understood yesterday that the importance and the relevance that this hall had, and in the wishes and in the vision of your leadership, as well as the other that were present here, should continue having. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mine is, first of all, very, very simple. I don't know how to thank you, but I want just to say thank you very, very much for making this institution proud. Every guest that came here, everybody, their excitement is not because of me, it's because of you. It's because of the work that you have done. And please clap for yourself. I really thank you so much for the work that is well done. Thank you so much. As someone who is very new, maybe compared to many people, when I came here, I found the whole exercise going on in terms of the Africa Hall. I remember we used to have meetings with Pedro, with Carlos, with the entire team, updating us on where things are going, trying to fast track, trying to do, to make sure that this year really the whole work is inaugurated. Nobody was sure that it will be actually completed on time, because as you do the construction, things, keep changing and you are never sure. And when the importation of some of our products were disrupted in the Great Seas, we are not sure that really this project will be realized this year. But we had constant meetings to be updated. on really the work that is undergoing. And finally, we are sure that at least you have all the materials here. We have all the technical capacity, and now we can be able to achieve it. And at that point, we also agreed at some point that we need to inaugurate it, but when? So we had to negotiate with New York, with the leadership of Pedro, and trying to see how we can capture, how we can have the Secretary General himself to come and inaugurate this. You know, that takes negotiation behind closed doors. It's not just telling him come and he comes, no, because he has also all other engagements across the world. So to get his space was not easy. But finally, we agreed with his office that 21st definitely was the inauguration, and he will be coming here. So the Secretary General, to get him and get the Deputy Secretary General and others, it was really a big deal for us. Because bringing the Secretary General, bringing the Prime Minister here, and also the chairperson of the African Union Commission, the President of Mauritania, who is the chairperson of the African Union, was not able. It was represented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs. But to get the entire dignitaries, you have to negotiate one by one. And the more you can get, the better, because we wanted to give this one really the significance it deserves. So it was very, very important for us to make sure that we get the right people. Of course, when we came here, they also had to have a cooperation discussion between the United Nations and the African Union. And that's why yesterday we spent much of the time in that hall of the African Union building, trying to really harmonize our cooperation. Agenda 2030, Agenda 2063, and trying to see how the two bodies can work together. So it was really, really a success. The other one that we wanted was to make sure that at the policy level, for this one to make more sense, really, it was a donation initially by the government of Ethiopia. So because it was a donation, you had to make sure that the government of Ethiopia is heavily involved. And it was really heavily involved. Yesterday morning, the Prime Minister received the Secretary General, and he was really visibly happy and very proud of this kind of this infrastructure, and also of the cooperation between ECA and the government of Ethiopia. And this recognition is very, very important. Then as we're trying to do the whole implementation, of course, usually things, I'm sure that you have all seen it from your life. Usually things go wrong the last minute. I don't know if you know it. Even when you're in school, writing your thesis, for some reason, the last minute, the printer cannot print. And something goes wrong. And it has been going all right, everything okay, but somehow there is something that goes wrong the last minute. It's like when you're having a wedding. So things really, you know, but here, when I came back from I don't know which country I was coming from, and then Pedro and others, you know, Carlos, Antonio, they were all working very hard. And always, the small things are the ones that matter. So for the whole week, I had to come here every day. And I'm sorry, Antonio, I put pressure on you. Because if you don't put pressure on you, things go wrong, and everybody starts pointing fingers. When actually you have done the whole 99.9% of the work, and you put in everything that you have. But what was excellent is the quality of work that everybody appreciated. And as we did this, and going downstairs, I was personally impressed by how these people are working, programming, putting things, telling me things are still in the customs, but they are coming. The next day, you see a difference. Another day, you see another difference. Really, your team downstairs, they did a very wonderful job. And then I was asking myself, how about our team led by Irene? Is she here? Yeah, I was trying to figure out how they're going to work, but they finally came out in a very big force later on. They came and really, every day it was a difference. And then, of course, trying to see who is going to say what, looking at the whole work that was downstairs, which was very, very impressive. And then there was the work that was being done by our team up there. There is the other lady who was leading, what's her name? Asa? Yeah, where is she?
She left.
Oh, she left. Oh, she did a very wonderful job. Because even with these things, you come and say, well, how do you fix this? I remember the team telling me it's impossible, but she says, no, let's do something about it. In a few minutes, it was changed just by programming. You see, we have the skills at the top level. And technologically, really, you could see that people know what they are doing. Putting all these things together, putting the technology, linking it so that it can tell our story better than we can say, is not something easy. And also the artwork, how our team have mobilized, the entire artwork in a very, very short time, and making sure that when you come in, you think these have been here for a long time. Actually, they were not here just in 1 week. It's because of all your efforts that you have done. This was not done by me or by him, it was done by you. And that's why really I wanted just to appreciate the capacity that you have, the commitment that you have, the pressure. The last week, I don't know how many hours you slept, but really you put in everything, working up to very late, really incredible. And I could see Antonio started as an engineer, but he ended up becoming a historian. The way he was telling stories downstairs, he was like a really top historian and really saying this is what happened in 1961. But before that, also, I learned that the first meeting were taking place in the parliament in Ethiopia because we didn't have a space. And how this facility was provided to us, together with, by the way, the other one on the other side of the road. And then what happened in 1961, what happened in 1963. And then he told the whole story up to the end, up to where we are now. And this leading to the construction, as he said, which initially the idea started in 2016, and then it kept coming. We contracted someone towards the COVID time, the Italian company that went bankrupt, and then other things followed, and then we had to start all over again. It was not easy. And also New York started complaining what is happening, but finally it was delivered. And when it was delivered, we explained to the fifth committee of this, what happened. We explained to the Secretary General, we explained to the entire leadership of the United Nations, and they are all happy that at least we have managed to achieve this, which was really something that's very, very important. But of course, there are other people who are working behind doors, and I really want to commend Chichi, because she has been here permanently, and she was doing the link, what is happening here, but also our visitors who are coming here. We have we had our Araji, who has been permanently also here. Every time scratching his head, but there was no hair, because things evolving all the time. My team, the speech writers and others, so that we all work as a team. And every time we came, we are working together as a team to see what's next. And the whole exercise is teaching us, actually showing us how much capacity we have. Now, having achieved this, we can achieve anything else that's even greater than this one. And then we had to handle the big, our bosses, together with the stakeholders. This has been very interactive work that has been done. And that's why I really very much appreciate it. And that's why I was saying, I don't know how to thank you, because you made this happen. You made this happen, you made this institution proud, you made Africa proud, because this is the history of Africa. It's not the history of ECA, it's the history of Africa. This is where independent, if you hear what they were discussing colonialism. They were discussing other countries that were not yet independent. They were talking about, of course, joining the United Nations. Some of them were not there, they were not even independent. They were trying to build themselves. So it's the whole history that cannot be forgotten. And that's why recreating it really is a boost to the African Union. This is where everything started. And now we have 54 countries. And we believe this is a very good story to start with. The next is now how to market it, to make sure that we can now bring in the high-level meetings, by heads of state, just to come and have a meeting here in the hall where it all started. It's something very wonderful. Working with the African Union, working with the government of Ethiopia, and also make sure we mobilize so that we make this one really a very historical place for big conferences, for high-level conferences. And I think to be inaugurated at that level, I think it was very, very useful. So I really don't want to say much more than I can say, but just to say you made it happen. Very grateful. I don't know how to thank you, but really, really thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, your recognition, it make, I'm sure, everybody proud and honored because being part of this important project and also being able to have it successfully arrived at his end, it make all of us, I am sure, to talk on behalf of everybody, really, really honored and proud. Thank you for your leadership. As you said, particularly in this last week, it was very helpful, and we appreciated very much the attention that you and your team, Chichi, Alaji, I don't want to forget anyone, but everybody was really committed to do it, to make it possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? No, this is really to thank you and the rest. At the end of the day, our staff of the African of the ECA. This is your building. This time, all the ceremonies are done. The rest is for us to enjoy it. Go downstairs, cafeteria, bring your friends, go and work with your colleagues on a file, hold meetings here. It's now your facility. It has been baptized, and now it belongs to us. So thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah.
That's very, very pleased. It went well yesterday.
Yes.
Very good helps.
No, thank you so much. Sorry for the delay yesterday. It's because we had the meetings took longer than expected.
I think I really enjoyed being in this space.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Good. I think, sorry for the interruption, but it was well deserved. Now I give back the floor to David to continue his presentation.
Over to you.
So today we will be presenting the design opportunities and lessons learned on behalf of our broader team of architects and specialist consultants. We would like to acknowledge the very significant contribution and the commitment of the entire team who have worked tirelessly to support the design and delivery of this landmark renovation project over the past 10 years. Firstly, we acknowledge the architects, Conrad Garget, architectural team led by Simon Boundy as lead project architect, supported by Candice Christensen, myself, Luke Blake, and Biable Unet. So these people are on the top row, as you can see. Next, we would like to acknowledge the structural and service engineering led by John Taxworth from BEC, the fire safety, security and IT led by Renil Singh of the WSP, and finally, the quantity surveying team led by Fiona Doherty of RLB. Thank you. For each of these disciplines, there was a dedicated support team of local Addis partners and collaborators, and all were key to the successful delivery of the project.
This renovation project was launched at a ceremony held on the 24th of October 2008 to mark the 50th anniversary of the Economic Commission for Africa. This was in collaboration with UNESCO, the African Union Commission and the Ethiopian government. The mandate for the project included the renovation of Africa Hall building and upgrading for modern conference facilities and to provide a permanent exhibition to tell the story of the place. So the key 4 design objectives of the project for the outset were to conserve the place, to make the building safe and accessible, to interpret the place and to enhance its ongoing use.
Our design process aligned with the staged procurement process, starting with firstly understanding and recording the building as it was back in 2014, including understanding the building conditions and issues. We scanned the building and then together with the historic drawings, produced as built drawings and a 3D model using Revit software. Here we show our process illustrated through the plenary hall space, the 1961 original photo, top left, a 2014 image of the existing condition when we started the project, bottom right. Our point cloud scan, top right, enabled us to model the building in 3D with the Revit model of the proposed renovation, bottom right. The 3D model was essentially as both a design tool as well as an advocacy tool to support the process of seeking funding in 2015. Our research and investigation included both fieldwork and desktop research to understand the original design intent of Arthur Mezzedini and also to understand how the building was changed since 1961. We're lucky to have access to the original Mezzedini drawings and photos, as well as his own writing on the design intent and principles. One of these principles illustrated on the right is the separation between the public and the delegates shown in this sectional diagram. We used historic images together with our fieldwork to understand the challenges to the building over time. The plenary hall 1961 and 2014 is illustrated on the left, and the rotunda space on the right side. Change to the exterior included adding security on the western side and change to the entry doors as illustrated. The 1961s are the top ones and the 2014 bottom images.
We treated the project as a heritage project, as if the building was heritage listed. To inform our process, we first undertook a conservation management strategy based on international heritage best practice. We used the borough charter process of understanding the history and significance of the place to develop policies, to inform decisions, to guide the process of transforming the building. So the flow chart of the process is illustrated in the middle. But the basic principles included that this place is very important, that we need to understand the significance of the place first, that we also need to understand the fabric of the place, and that understanding of significance should inform and guide decisions, and to do as much as necessary and as little as possible, to keep records and to do everything in a logical order. Understanding the original building fabric was also very important. As a modernist masterpiece, the building had a palette of finishes and materials that were carefully composed. So in renovating the building, we really needed to choose many new finishes and materials, and these selections needed to respect this original palette. Part of our design process was also to understand the existing building condition and all of the issues, and then determining methods for repair of damaged building fabric and elements. So these included things such as spalling concrete and render, damaged roof membranes, addressing water ingress issues as illustrated here.
The renovation design level by level included new basement, back house service spaces and waterproofing, reinstating the original rotunda space at the ground level, reconfiguring the plenary hall space at level 1, new level 2 control room and media spaces, new rooftop rooftop level mechanical plant rooms and services. We also upgraded the building for equal access, adding new elements including ramps, lifts, and equitable bathrooms.
So key project opportunities included the reconfiguration of this space, the plenary hall, to enable the now 54 member states of the African Union to meet in this space. So it was required to increase the original 2 horseshoe-shaped joinery desks to be reconfigured to 3. So this required all new custom joinery to be designed for the space, which you can see here today. And this design for the new joinery referenced and paid homage to the original Mezzadini design. So the plan on the left shows the change from the 2 to 3 desk reconfiguration. Another key opportunity was to enable flexibility for events and functions to be hosted throughout the building, including using the delegates lounge, which is behind us, and the rotunda space downstairs as function spaces. So in order to do this, we needed to include new commercial satellite kitchens and bars to service the various configurations of functions that could take place throughout the building. So this work also included reinstating the former rotunda level cafe, which is pictured in the middle, to match the 1961 Mezzadini design intent. Services upgrades, including mechanical and electrical, were also required, and all these new services needed to be carefully concealed in both the existing void spaces as well as new void spaces created in ceilings, as demonstrated in the image on the right.
Another key project opportunity was to reinstate the setting of the building within the original landscape design recreated. There was also the opportunity to reinstate the original design intent of Arthur Mezzadini. This included to remove the later intrusive non-original elements such as the rotunda mezzanine level, shown here on the left side. In reinstating the rotunda to its former design, we were able to recreate the original Neni Pogi Sanguinetti mosaic floor artwork to match the original design, which is on the right side. Retrofitting modern services requires early strategies for running and concealing new services. New plant room spaces required adding new spaces to the building on the rooftop. The photo on the left shows the new rooftop addition as the contemporary intervention referencing the original tile to inform the pattern on the zinc shingles. There was also the opportunity to tell the story of Africa Hall and its significant role in Pan-African history through design and curating the permanent exhibition space. Our role was to tell the Team 1 Africa Hall story. The right-hand photo illustrates a part of the permanent exhibition which introduces Arthur Mezzadini's via a digital drawing board on the original drawings.
Project opportunities also included the conservation of the original integrated artworks. The Afwerk Tekle stained glass window was restored by Emmanuel Thomas, who's the grandson of the original maker. Other presentations this morning will of course present the restoration process in more detail. There was also the opportunity to conserve the original Mezzadini designed, custom designed original furniture, and to reinstate the intent of the original interiors, matching as close as possible to the 1961 carpets and palette of finishes. So some of the lessons learned included the importance of understanding the opportunities and constraints of the local context, to work closely with the skills, knowledge, and materials that are readily available to achieve the best results. And really importantly, to the undertaking of an early works project, which included the retail decant of the some 18 tenancies that were in this building previously in the rotunda space to the Congo and Nile buildings. This early works project really helped us to understand the issues and the challenges for procurement, and to be able to implement these strategies in the main contract, which we've just completed. Another lesson learned that to get the best results, there's no substitute for face-to-face with people, but the on-the-ground connections and experience, is really important. And that while obviously we have technology that, connects us more than ever, that having that local and physical presence, really counts. Finally, the importance of investing in people for the long term, and really investing in a committed and dedicated team that will bear results for many years to come, particularly over a project of this duration. And the investment in people, including the opportunities for capacity building through having a local team, developing a network of local collaborators, and working with local industry. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Modet. The team of CG, of course, being the lead consultant, was really transversal in all the things that we have been doing. They have been side by side with our team, and one of the words that I have used more with them, and I am sure they have very much assimilated, it is to be proactive, not just to be reactive to what was going on site. They have grown as a team together with us. They have involved a real multidisciplinary and multicultural team. There are some of the Ethiopian here that were part of their team. I see them smiling now because we recognize their contribution, and also some of them I think are connected. I see Fiona, I see other people that flying in and out so many times to support in the different phases, and I want to reiterate my thanks to them. Next speaker I think is Vasilis with the technological part. What we see here is a little part. If you go up there, you can have a better idea of what happened here, behind the wall, below the floor, and in so many other places. I don't know how many kilometers of cable we have, but many, because I saw in these years cables and cables and cables coming in, and all these cables are connected in racks that I cannot imagine they can be fixed, because maybe there are thousands of these cables arriving there. And our magician of Telmaco made all this together, all this not only together but functioning, and they are the one still up there running the show. They ran a wonderful show yesterday, and they are running today, and they will be here for the next days, starting this very important process of handing over. So I think we have to be very grateful for their professional and technical capacity. They didn't say anything so far about the professionalism and the technical capacity, but all the people that participated in the team and the supplier demonstrated a very high level. As the ES was saying, we were able to do something not only satisfactory, but with the right and maybe some kind also exceeding the expected quality. So Vasilis, he has some technical problem. You see, I just said that they're very good. And
Hello, thank you very much, Antonio. First of all, I want to say that we, as Telmaco, are very proud, honored and thankful. Proud and honored to be part of this great project and the great team, and also thankful for UNECA to allow us to participate. So, maybe Is the PowerPoint? Okay. So special thanks to all the team here. We are listing just few from the project team of UNECA, the consultants, and our main core team that have participated in the project. Special thanks to everybody. So I've been asked to try to give an overview of the audiovisual and conference systems that we have deployed here for the Africa Whole project. So I hope it's not going to be too technical. Basically, we would like to describe the different systems that are part of this implementation, maybe to help you understand, let's say, how these are all interconnected. So the main system is the conference interpretation system that is coming from Tiden. It consists of the delegate units and the nameplates, and also the chairman units, which are similar to the delegates. And then we have listening station on the back. So the seats that don't have the full delegate units. And then there are 13 interpretation consoles installed in 6 booths. So these multimedia units, as they are called, the delegates units, allow us to view the cameras, sources, or documents. And of course, they have other facilities, but I'm not going to go into in detail, like voting and so on. The listening stations have just a selector to allow the switching of the language between the floor and the interpreted language. Also, the interpreters have the possibility with an external monitor to see also the presentations or the camera sources. And then there are a lot of software running from Tiden to allow different setups and functions. So one important element in this system is that we have a video and audio distribution over IP. So all video and audio sources are using a network infrastructure. It's called AV over IP, and this is using Extron NAV technology. And it's supported by a dedicated network. We have encoders that are allowing sources like HDMI connections that we're using, for example, here in the lectern or in other areas, and also devices we have in the racks. And then the decoders are providing the signal to displays or other, let's say, inputs to AV devices. For example, the video conferencing codec gets my signal here via this system. The routing is done via our control automation system touch panel, which I will talk at the end. So for example, we select one source, you see highlighted in yellow, and what destination, and then these are linked. Then we have the main hall speakers and the audio distribution. We have simulated the result using the 3D model that we received from the consultants, and by using the simulation software and taking into assumption the acoustic characteristics that was planned. So we have these big speakers on the left and the right side from phone manufacturer, and the target is to have the speech intelligibility and even sound pressure levels to all the seats. These speakers are 3.4 meter long, and they have 24 drivers and a built-in DSP. And they are interconnected via IP with the Dante protocol. And they have redundant fiber connections. And there are also some subwoofers under the stage floor. So this speaker allows to tune it and to target, let's say, the different areas in the room. And then the audio distribution is done by digital mixers from Biome that we have in each control room. And they interconnect audio and digital sources via the network at the end. And we have different sources like from the conference interpretation systems, the microphones, for example, here the lecterns or the other wireless microphones we have in the system, and the sources, and floorbox and rack devices, and then the destinations as well around the systems, the speakers, connections plates like we were providing to the press yesterday to allow to get a clean audio signal for their media use. Then we come to the large video wall, which I think looks really nice. It's a curved wall, 11 meters by 2, using barcode TruePix technology. And it's composed of 108 modules, which are slightly curved, so 18 by 6 cabinets, and provides a seamless curved result. And it has an infinite pixel called image processing, which allows the even image, let's say, brightness and color uniformity. And this creates a canvas, a digital canvas of a very large resolution, 5760 by 1080. And it can be used, it's driven by the video switcher. We can either use it as a full screen, like it was done yesterday in some of the presentations. And this is controlled by a mixer called Ross Carbonite, which has a lot of inputs and outputs and preview outputs. And it allows us to create different, let's say, layouts, as we call them, with the camera feeds and the documents and the presentation and the graphics from the conference system or other sources in the system. And we're trying to create this layout so that we can easily switch from one to the other. So the camera system, we have 6 cameras around the hall, 5 in the balcony and 1 above the lead wall. And it's a broadcast camera from Grass Valley with a professional zoom lens and this robotic head which allows the movement. And they have a control panel to be controlled and programmed. But once everything is in place, the camera switching can also be done automatically by the camera activation using the automation system. Then we have the IPTV and digital signage system. This is a system from Bytec, which is using server and encoders, gateways, and set-top boxes, and also software on Samsung room booking screens that they are outside the interpreter booths, for example. So we have 9 55-inch installed, 2 in the main hall entrance, in delegate bar, in the media lounge, and in the meeting rooms, in conference administration, and 8 13-inch room bookings screens. So the content of the system can be either the TV channels that we bring from the satellite, useful information like agendas, what we did yesterday, and I think today we changed. And with the room booking system, we're showing the interpretation booth assignments. So which booth is showing, for example, which language is being interpreted. And this system can also be interlinked with the whole AV over IP in order to display other possible sources. Then we have the public address and background music system. We have 78 speakers in the area in 11 zones. And the system is also IP-based from Bosch and is also integrated with the building alarm system for emergency situation. It also has a controller, players, amplifiers, ambient noise sensors, and announcement stations. We have a small stage lighting system with 4 moving lights from clay paki that are now lighting the stage and the presidency, and can also provide different colors and effects. And there is a console which can be used to configure it and prepare some presets to be recalled also from the central automation system. Then we have the intercom system, which is a technical intercom system from Clearcom and allows the communication between the technicians and coordination during a meeting. And it is composed of central units, 2 call stations on each control room, and then wireless system with access points and belt packs and headsets for the technicians around the venue. Then we have some infrastructure in the meeting rooms, which is Cisco video conferencing codecs and boards. And finally, we have the automation system, which is the heart of the system. It has some touch panels, which provides ease of use of the audiovisuals, of all the audiovisual systems. It's coming from Extron. And we have touch panels in the control rooms, in the conference administration, in the lectern, in the chairman's table, in the delegates bar, in the meeting rooms. So these are 4 10-inch touch panels and 2 larger 24-inch touch screens, which are driven by Extron engines. And all the AV systems are integrated, including via the K-Mix protocol, the house lights and the blinds. And there are user-level access for simple or more advanced users. And the 2 control rooms where we have the larger screens have the full capabilities, where other locations will have limited functionality for simplified use. So just to give you an idea, this is how the touch panel pages look like. Here is a page to select the video wall layouts, or here is a simplified page to control the audio level. And here is how we can control blinds and lights. So I'm finalizing just to saying that all the systems, the conference, they're all integrated and interconnected, one with the other. And finally, the automation is integrating all together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vasilis. As I said, the magic of this last slide, that you understand the complexity of what we were talking about. I now have to introduce the people that work on the artwork. So this building, the artworks that we have here are not only decorating the building. Normally, artworks are for decoration, for aesthetic. In this case, as we heard from the speaker yesterday, they were and they will continue playing an important role. They were set up to really feature this building in a way that would serve for the purpose that in fact happened. We have the marvelous stained glass that is representing the historical period of the fight against the colonialism. We have the flora by Nene Sanguinetti, which is there to let the people feeling the fact that this building is in Africa. At that time, it was something exceptional. Is maybe the first, is recognized to be the first conference hall in Africa, and the emperor decided that it should be reflected in the artworks in particular. And then we have the leader portrait that is there to, as one of the speakers said yesterday, to remember us the commitment that this leader took in 1963. So I am very proud that we were able to restore it in a proper manner. In one case, the same manufacturer who did it came to restore it. We will start with them, with Atelier Thomas. Viviane is here to make a quick presentation. Please come and take the floor. We are still at the beginning and not very much familiar with all the features, but I am sure that in a minute Luke will make it happen. The presentation is for the next one. We will, but I think you are just speaking. You don't have an actor.
Yes, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, Vivian.
I'm
Go
afraid
ahead.
that I haven't prepared visual support. I don't have skill in that. So I invite you already to see the real fresque at the end of the presentation. May I begin with some historical points? So the fresque has been realized in the factory Thomas stained glass makers in France in 1962, which is a factory from father to son until 1878. So four generations have worked on this fresque. And at 1974, at Revolution, the fresque has been damaged by a revolutionary, and especially the face has been targeted with a projection, but that wasn't not that much damage for that could have been very worse. So in 2 years ago, they come here to read. The big challenge was the size of the work, 16 meters long for 8 meters high, and each panel make 1 meter by 1 meter. So the manipulation was quite delicate because of the size of the panels. And also the challenge was that panels remains here. They have not been bring to France because of the risk that would have represent. But as materials can be found in Africa, they must bring the piece of glass that they need to France to choose the colors there, and to bring it back here. So it has been a really minutious work to get out all the main damages were glass broken, and we have a technique to transplant glass when we don't have to. No, I'm losing. And so 5 travel to have been made to restore it. At the first, all panels have been put down, take by photos each by each from out and from inside. That way we can notice all break. And all has been stored in the workshop near the fresque. And first that was cleaning with steam and alcohol to remove, because the panels were obscured by pollution that was deposited on the surface of the glass. And at origin, there is stick steel who cross the panels, and that was not enough. So they had a third stick steel. Each panel has been cleaned and reinforced because lead is flex. That's why we use it. But with time, the panels may bond if that's not. With time, the panels bond. And so we have had lead reinforced with a piece of steel inside that make it more rigid, that don't make it enough strong that we need a stick of steel to cross it. And the solding, which has been, with time, the soil may crack. So the panels need to be solding better. Most of the glass is just colored glass, but there is also painting glass. For example, at the face, there is a special paint on this, which is made with powder lead and oxide metallic, and which is raised in temperature in the oven made of this. So the face of the main face have been changed because it was too much damaged. Sorry. What can I say more? So battery. At the origin, the panels were stick with mastic and wooden bar closes, so that was not enough strong. So it has been changed with steel bar closes, and all the frame has been reinforced and cleaned to put the new one. What can I say? I think that I've said all what my employers asked me to say. And I want to add thankful also to all the teams who have worked on this project. And personally, I'd also be glad to have taken part of this. That was my first time in Africa, and I'm really glad to have met this country and people. And I hope that it will, that this flex will illustrate future of Africa. So. I think that's enough. If you have other questions, you can ask me later. Thanks.
Thank you, Viviane. Thank you very much for the wonderful job you have done for us. We appreciate it very much. We have seen the professionalism, and also I remember the emotion on when Emmanuel, which is the son of the person who did in the 60s, arrived here with his son and show the signature of his grandfather, his father, and the grandfather of his son in a corner, and it was really an emotional moment. and the care they have paid to their job was very much appreciated. Now we go to Venaria, Fondazione Venaria Reale. They have been entrusted of the renovation of the canvas line, and which is surrounding this hall, which was made by Nene Sanguinetti. I don't know if her granddaughter is here today. No, she's not. She was here yesterday anyway, and she was also very much impressed by the good job that the restorer made. I remember the darkness when I arrived and I saw it, and now the brightness that has been restored, and I'm very much happy of the result, the outstanding result. I leave to them to describe their job. I think it's Paola who is driving us. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Paola Buscaglia, I'm a conservator and I work in Centro Conservazione e Restauro La Venaria Reale. Just few words on who and where we are. So the center is a strategic hub for conservation, research and higher education on cultural heritage. It's located in the stables of the Venaria Palace that was the royal residence of the House of Savoy in Baroque period, and it's a non-profit foundation established in 2005 as part of a larger restoration project that aimed at the recovery of the palace. Mainly speaking about conservation, the idea was trying to give an idea of what is the complexity of the process, and of course, without entering in the details, here there is a graphic map of the conservation process where many are the processes involved and where the intervention and conservation design and its actuation is only one part of the process. Mainly during a conservation process, we are asked to monitor and manage all the phases of the intervention, trying to find a way of sharing the results gained by training and dissemination of the knowledge gained, and most of all to study and to carry out and perform research, both considering the diagnostic and for the study of the original techniques and the materials we find overlapped maybe on the surfaces, and then thanks to archives and art history insights that must support all the phases of intervention and study. Mainly we believe that sharing, being a conservationist, a part of the wider cultural system, sharing must be a moral duty. So being a conservation, a process to knowledge, we are committed in the spread of the knowledge acquired, and this can be done by scientific dissemination and declinating all the capability of communication at different level, from a laboratory training up to on-site activity, thinking that a conservation project in its wider meaning is always a chance of shared knowledge. But going to the process that focused on the floral mural and activity for the Africa World project, tailoring the project for us meant mainly building a team capable to face the challenges, technical challenges of the artifacts and of the conservation intervention, but also capable to enter in an environment extremely complex, capable of relating with our principal contractors and all the teams that were involved in the activities. So we try to choose people with skills, technical skills, both on wall paintings and with the habit of working on site, and with expertise also on contemporary art and painting treatments, but mainly people with a correct behavior and capability of emotive intelligence. These are the photos of the team selected. in charge to work on site, and these are the person that from Turin coming sometimes had to manage the intervention jointly with them, speaking with them maybe we can say daily, and trying to be of support for the activity on site. The first phases provided a photogrammetric survey to document the state of preservation of the artifact and map the main criticalities. Mainly the idea, and thanks with the cooperation with the Polytechnic of Turin, was to merge the photogrammetric tool with the laser scanning technology to have the chance to acquire invisible and UV light, the characteristic of the surface, having the chance in this way to localize possible heterogeneous materials spread on the surface. And then joining with the virtual relighting of the surface, we had the chance to highlight, oh no, I'm sorry, mistake. to highlight also the characteristic of the surface from a structural point of view, focusing on the problems of the canvas possibly detached from the support. But mainly the main issue was understanding the technical characteristic of the floral mural. As I said, the study has been supported by an archive research carried out both on site and thanks to the team working on site, and both from Turin thanks to our art historians. The result, of course, I cannot enter in all the details emerged, but the artistic technique of this floral mural is a photographic emulsion on canvas taken from the original tempera painting and drawing. The overall size is 160 square meters, and the imprinting of the photographic emulsion was, and all the technique was manufactured in Bologna by Villani and Sons. This is the bozzetto, so the draft of painted directly by Nene Sanguinetti Poggi, and this is what we found on site here in Addis. The interesting thing is that all the canvases composing this painting have been prepared in Italy, sent to Addis, and then implemented in Addis with some changes. So with some cuts on the original bozzetto. Knowing this and having a look also with magnification, the video microscopy confirmed the possibility of a technical photographic impression of the canvases due to the presence of an almost homogeneous color spread on the surface. Spread on a layer or preparation layer that is typically found in a technique called gelatin silver salts based, and this technique was confirmed by also analysis in optical microscopy and electron microscopy. What does it mean? It means that the technique provided a preparation of a support, in this case cotton fibers and not paper support. Then the gelatin to be impressed, that is a dispersion of silver salts, was spread manually on the surface and then impressed by Villani. After the implementation, Nene Sanguinetti performed also some retouches directly on the surface with a tempera painting. So we faced with a super reactive material that was gelatin, that is a proteinaceous material, and tempera material. The problem was that this material can crack when exposed to excessive dryness or extreme change in relative humidity. It's extremely susceptible to mold growth and extremely fragile and water sensitive. What we did, we had to, focusing on the main issues, we had to resolve in 3.5 months structural intervention, cleaning problems, and to give honor with the retouch to the old painting. The right solution were not so easy, but the main problems were detachments spread on the surface with tears and losses of the entire stratigraphy, and cracks on the superficial treatment. Moreover, we had heterogeneous material spread on the surface to be removed because altered and problematic for the correct conservation of the artifacts. All these materials were soluble in materials that were dangerous, let's say, for the original materials. So for the structural intervention, the idea was to try to solve and to find a solution with preliminary test. We choose to reuse the polyvinyl acetate that was the adhesive used to implement the canvases on the wall to re-adhere the problems of detachment that were mainly distributed at the top and the bottom of the artifacts, but also with some deformation at the center. Mainly applying the adhesive and then exercising pressure, local pressure on all the area treated, and then in the areas where no adhesive have been applied, heating guaranteed the reactivation of the original material. Concerning the cleaning and retouch, of course, having the tool of UV fluorescent mapping, we had the possibility to perform preliminary tests to find the right solution. Mainly, without entering the technical details, the need was to find a solution capable of release the solvents without in a controlled way, maintaining the action at the interface, and trying to absorb the solved material by capillarity, so without doing too much mechanical action. This is after the cleaning, of course, also retouching was needed to soften some spots remained in the material because penetrated in the original one, and this is mainly well, you can see the results outside of here. But concerning the sliding doors, we had two challenges. Mainly to resolve the sliding doors, we had to dismount the sliding doors, treat them in a separated location, to find a new system of remounting after the intervention. We decided to maintain the original sliding system, mechanical system, adding a base where to mount the doors and closing them with magnets to assure their maintenance in a closed position. But the issue, the biggest issue was to try to set up a laboratory here in Addis to work on the materials, having decided the basic materials from Turing, ship them before seeing the artifacts. And so we had to find places to purchase materials and find places well, to buy them. Without the support mainly of the Italian community, we would not have been able to find everything in such a short time. But also thanks to the cooperation with Alec, I've been extremely helped also in mounting and setting up all the laboratory. The results of the intervention was also given by the issue of the Africa-shaped handles. We had only 2 original handles on the sliding doors. The Africa project team decided to musealize the Africa-shaped handles, and after dialoguing with them, the idea that seemed to be better has been to involve local craftsmen to reproduce with the traditional techniques the new Africa handles. And this was extremely interesting as a chance of exchanging experience in techniques and views of future maintenance of the different materials. Concerning the lessons learned, we tried to collect from each element of the team some inspiration. Mainly, I can resume that for all of us, this project has been perceived as extremely complex, but extremely stimulating and enriching, just because we had the chance to cooperate as a team in a wider concept. So it was crucial, the communication between us from Turing and with the team on site, but especially it was extremely important the support of the Africa whole project team during all these months. It has been a stimulating process, especially because it was like a journey passing through the history of this place and living Ethiopia quite intensely. So thank you for your attention. Mainly we have a small presentation. We have 2.5 minutes. We would like to share a video just for you and for the team that is in Italy. And because they wanted to be here with us, but it was impossible. It's a little bit more emotional, but it's a resume of all the activities performed here. Just once. Okay, go. Hopefully. No, però. It's not shared.
You can clone the.
It's good, this is training on the job.
You can duplicate.
Okay, thank you, sir.
That's all.
Thank you, Paola, Silvia, Sara, and everybody online. I remember when the president of the General Assembly came a couple of months ago, visiting the site, and he was impressed by the due care that your team was paying. And we are very grateful of the professionalism, as you have demonstrated here, the high-level techniques that you have implemented, and also, I want to say, the enthusiasm that you paid in doing your job. We were supposed to have a little break. The coffee has not been set up, so there is no coffee. But if you want, we can have maybe a 3 minutes break or 5 minutes break, in a way that we can move out for a while or stand up for a while, and we will reconvene at 12:55 for the rest. Before going to the break, I want also the second part, the first part was a presentation by the suppliers, the contractor, the consultant. Second part is more on the process, because the construction is not something that is fixed in the time, but is flowing around the time. And in this case, it lasted 2 years plus. Ali will talk about what happened before these 2 years and with the procurement process. You have noted that there were several contractors, several suppliers. So we don't have to forget also the other Ethiopian artists who restored the rug and the paintings. They are not presenting today, but we want to thank them as well. And you have seen the difference between the little pencil that Venaria was using and the hammer that Alec was showing this morning, the technology that Vasilis shown. So all these come together through the coordination, and the coordination was mainly with my team, but was also through weekly meetings, ad hoc meetings, and on-site meetings and discussion, but it was mainly the result of a real proactive process that everybody performed during these 2 years. So we were able to come together also when there was no light for any reason, and Venaria need the light, or also when Telmaco need a dust-free environment. We were still making a lot of other things, even made more complex by the need of having a very strict planned procurement that from the contractors, because if you miss one screw, and this screw shall arrive from Canada or from India or from any other places, it takes 10 days only to take it out from the custom. So it is something that let you understand the complexity of this coordination. But as we said all the morning, we made it, and I'm very happy that we were also able to satisfy the very different need of every of the contractor, make it all together, and really ensure that we were respecting the timeline. We arrived at the last minute, like all the construction project in my life, which is not that short. All the time, I know that is you can have the best planning of the world, but there is always something that brought you the last minute. In this case, we were able to finish 1 day ahead of the inauguration, which is already good, because I was thinking to be here also Sunday night, but in fact we stop on Saturday night. So it's something that it is remarkable. Okay, we will go into the implementation process after this short break. I already took 3 of the minutes of the short break, but I will give you another 3 or 4 minutes in case you want to go to the restroom. Just stand up. Thank you. See you soon. I think we are ready to restart. If everybody can have a seat. Stai partendo?
No, ci vediamo ancora più tardi. Noi adesso alle 2:30 andiamo in incontro organizzato
Sì, sì.
italiani culturi manoscritti etiopi. Quindi non so dire che andiamo via un po' prima.
No, non ti preoccupare.
E poi quando ci rivedremo, penso che domani torniamo per il libro, partiamo
Se
domani
siete...
sera tardi.
dai, allora per il libro mi dite senz'altro.
Senti, però io ti volevo lasciare una cosina.
No.
È bellissima, sono delle fotografie molto carine che ha fatto un fotografo del nostro lavoro e uno di quelli che amiamo di più, sono originali, filmate dal fotografo e volevo regalare. Grazie. Perché sei stato uno chef.
È stato un piacere.
Anche noi.
È stato un piacere. Comunque ci vediamo.
Sì, ci vediamo, sì.
People is slowly coming back. I see Titus as well there. Hi, Titus. I think, Ali, it's your turn, but we need at least the people of CG to come and their we give 1 more minute for them to come. Yeah, they have to come. Luke has to come back. Let me. Good, we got Luke, so I think we can set up the presentation of procurement, as I said before the break. We are now entering in what it was the process. We talk about the works, we talk about the design, we talk about the different elements of the work. But to make it happen, you need this magic process, which is the construction process. And the construction process always starts with procurement. In a public institution like ours, we need to have the procurement done, because we cannot behave like the private sector. We need to grant the principle of transparency, competitiveness, and fairness, if I remember well, the 3 main principles of procurement. So Ali is the chief of procurement. He has been with me in this process since the beginning. I give him the floor to do the presentation. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you very much, Antonio. So before I start, I would like to say that, procurement were present hand in hand with the project team to do the procurement process, to do the contract administration, to do the tendering in series and in parallel. So all the procurement activities, we were present hand in hand with our colleagues in the project team. So I will take you very briefly through the journey of the procurement processes that we did for all the main project and the ancillary projects. On the background, as also everyone knows, that the General Assembly approved the project renovation, I think in 2015, entrusting ECA for implementation. The aim is to transform Africa Hall into a rejuvenated facility or re-engineered facility, complying with the highest international standard for conference facilities. The project consists of the following packages: the architectural and engineering services, early decanting works, main renovation construction works, audiovisual broadcasting and conference engineering and ICT system package, artwork restoration, stained glass, canvas and linen, and leather and carpet rack. So 7 contracts were established for the above requirement. The first contract is architectural and engineering services, led by elite consultant Conrad Gargett from Australia. Early decanting works by Golden Relief from United Arab Emirates. Main renovation works, Alec Engineering from United Arab Emirates. Audiovisual and conference technology, Lot A, Telmaco from Greece. ICT services, Lot C by Cisco Systems from USA. Art work restoration, stained glass by Atelier France. Artwork restoration, canvas and linen, Lot B by Centro Pero Conservazione from Italy. Artwork restoration, leather and carpet from Ethiopian artists in Ethiopia. So we already heard the presentations from our colleagues, vendors, and they give very useful and very good presentations. So the contracts that we established, the procurement process we went through is for the architectural and engineering services. We did a request for proposal. On the early decanting work, we did a request for proposal. On the remaining renovation work, we did an innovative approach of a multi-stage RFP with competitive dialogue. Audiovisual conference technology, Lot A, RFP as well. ICT, Lot C, we piggybacked on a system contract which was already established. Artwork restoration, Lot A, single sourcing. Artwork restoration, canvas and lining, invitation to bid. Artwork restoration, leather and carpet rug, individual consultant. So I have mentioned that it's an innovative approach that we were pilot in conducting that in ECA, which called multi-stage RFP process. I will take you very briefly also on this process that we did. And actually it achieved a very good result away from the traditional procurement process, which is the RFP and ITB. It's a multi-stage RFP process where there is an interaction with the vendor in 2 or 3 stages where the vendor is allowed to improve their proposal. So there is an approval process for this process, which is by Assistant Secretary General and Office of the Supply Chain Management. Also, there is an appointment of independent property monitor to oversee the process for transparency. We did also request for expression of interest on a pre-qualification rather than generic. Then we issued the RFP. After that, we did, as usual, bidders conference and site visit to familiarize the bidders with the process. And we did the first dialogue. Dialogue number 1. We received the interim's proposal. And there was a technical evaluation for these interim proposals. And there is also clarifications, which allows also the vendors to improve their offers or proposals. We did dialogue 2, and we did the amendment of the RFP. Then we received the final proposals. The technical evaluation was done also on the final stage. After this technical evaluation, we already selected the vendors who already passed. Then we did the commercial proposal evaluation by the procurement unit. We did the headquarters committee review. It was done by HCC. Then the last dialogue is the contract negotiation. Maybe for some price discounts, for value engineering, for discussion or negotiating some UNGCC of the contract, I mean the contract general conditions, and then it will be the contract award. Some tips about this overview multi-stage RFP process. It is exceptional and two-step RFP similar to a standard RFP process. There is an interim and the final proposal. So to ensure the full engagement and continued interest of bidders in order to maximize competition so that technically and commercially acceptable proposals are received from the pre-qualified vendors, use exceptional cases and requires prior approval from the Assistant Secretary Generals and Office of Supply Chain Management section or his designates as a method of solicitation. And there is an independent probity monitor who oversee the process and participate in the dialogue meetings and take the minutes and also take the action point. And there is a pre-qualification request for expression of interest issued for the provisional optional presentation, VTC, of the project. Project's documents was also availed to potential bidders. Request for clarification was allowed during the pre-qualification stage. So you can see that there is a collaboration with the vendor. It's not an adversarial relationship. It's a cooperative relationship so that the vendor can ask any question for the purpose of improving their proposals. Shortlisting of the pre-qualified vendors following evaluation process. RFP issued, mandatory bidders conference and site visit was held. The dialogue one was, UN entered into discussion dialogue with all pre-qualified bidders to ensure full understanding of the requirements prior to submission of the technical interim proposals. Pre-qualified bidders submitted technical interim proposals. Evaluation of technical interim proposals by the Technical Evaluation Committee. A prototype or proof of concept elements pursuant to the SSP. SSP is the source selection plan. The request for proposal may require the proposals to include prototypes or proof of concept elements. The interim proposals and, if applicable, the prototype's proof of concept will be evaluated based on the pre-established technical criteria that are clearly indicated in the source selection plan. The dialogue 2, this is the second dialogue. The UN entered into discussion dialogue with those bidders that passed the interim evaluation to enable them to submit final proposal in response to the RFP. So you see that we are with them, again, listening their clarifications, answering their questions so that they can submit a very good proposal. During these dialogues, sessions bidders requested for several meetings and they were granted subject to timing and availability. Amendments to the RFP was done in connection with the evaluation of the interim proposals and subsequent dialogues. Requirements outlined in the RFP and technical and financial evaluation criteria cannot be material change at this stage, at the dialogue 2. Evaluation of final and commercial proposals. We also conducted that. Review by the headquarter contracts committee and the approval of the minutes. The contract negotiations. Then finally the contract award. The criteria for the multi-stage RFP, it's a resource-intensive process. The multi-stage RFP process is a detailed resource-intensive process that needs to be properly managed for its benefits to be fully realized with maintaining the principles of fairness and integrity. its use and suitability for specific requirements should be justified in the SSP. Means of delivering the requirement of the UN cannot be met without adaptation of readily available solutions, like this complex project. Complex and innovative solutions that cannot be defined in sufficient details in the statement of works. Other methods of solicitation do not allow for the required level of collaboration between the UN and the bidders to develop suitable solutions. That is use of standard RFP has been assessed and determined that not appropriate or constitute unacceptable level of high risk. So it's a special, circumstances that we use the multi-stage RFP with competitive dialogue. We will come into the also the advantages and disadvantages of this process. There are multi-stakeholders for this multi-stage RFP. We have the Assistant Secretary General who is dedicated to approve this process, the Procurement Division PD who participated with us in the process. There is GAMPS also, Global Asset Management Policy Service, who also participated in this process. The Division of Administration, Supply Chain and Procurement Unit, the Africa Whole Project Team, the Office of Legal Affairs, and the Enabling Outreach Office, which is EOS. Probity Monitor, as we said that, he or she oversee the process and advise on the integrity of the procurement process. And we said also he take minutes and action points. And also for the transparency of the process, he is always there. The advantages of this RFP process: ensure full engagement of bidders in order to maximize competition so that technically and commercially acceptable proposals are received from the pre-qualified bidders. So, on these dialogues, you screen out or unqualified bidders from the process. You get all the qualified bidders to participate in the final stage of the RFP. Ensures in-depth understanding of the requirement so that risks identified and mitigated early during the solicitation process. Ensure the continued interest of the potential contractors to any complex and risky requirement, vital tool to achieve BVM, best value for money, and to address several outlined risks and opportunities leading to a successful outcome, achieving benefits from alternative and innovative value engineering solutions that may only be acceptable upon further discussion and understanding by the UN prior to being submitted the final proposal. The disadvantages, very few. It's a resource-intensive, time-consuming, engagement of various stakeholders, and exceptional for high-value, high-risk contracts. You cannot, do a process for a small procurement process. It's had to be high-value, high-risk one. Thank you very much. This is my presentation, and all the best.
Thank you, Ali. I think everybody left the podium. I don't know why everybody leave me alone here, but as Ali said, the process was long, complex, and multiple because we had several contractors to bring on board. Many of them are here. We have a couple of other points in the program. One was related to the implementation. We have talked about the implementation a little along this discussion that we had. Every supplier has or consultant has also explained which was their experience. The engineer said that they prefer not to speak. Probably they prefer to show what they did with the works, and we have appreciated all the works they have done. But I want to say just 1 minute of how it was organized, the team and the relationship that we had with them. In the team, we have we had a project engineer that now is not with us anymore because we are downsizing the team being arrived at the end. Her main role was to coordinate all the technical aspect. And the other important aspect is the contract management, which is led by Lauda. She will talk about the lesson learned after at the end of this presentation. There are, in fact, 3 engineers which are here, a local engineer, just to emphasize the important role that the local knowledge has for the project. And their main role was to coordinate the actual work on site, including the supervision, because we know that the famous triangle of contractor, client, and the supervisor shall be harmonized and work together. And then we had the support team, which is equally important. There is Mesma here, was the lady of the money, financial officer. We had Blaine there before it was Seble, that she left and last year, and we have now with us Blaine, with all the administrative support, including making you entering the compound, making sure you get your badge, and all these things, and also making sure that the staff relationship with HR, it is as smooth and fair as it should be. And we had the logistic and shipment officer. I think Abebe left. He was here before, which in a project like this, it is a very critical role because we have imported, if I remember well, more than 120 containers in a landlocked country. I have David here. They are also working in a landlocked country, but I imagine the custom of Switzerland are different than the custom of Ethiopia. Here we are facing enormous challenges with the custom because the situation of the port in Djibouti, the dry custom here in Kaliti. There are always glitches in the system that impede to work timely. There are so many situations that happen on any of these shipments. So in addition to the, I think 120, 130 container, in the last 3 months, because of the fact that we were, as I said before, a little late, we were obliged to start using the air shipment, and the air shipment even more challenging in terms of custom because you are in a hurry, you go to the custom, and as soon as you put pressure on them, it starts becoming more difficult. But thanks to also, I have to be sincere, the cooperation of the host government was good and allowed us to finally bring in all the material. So putting all this together, the technical aspect on site, the procurement of the materials by the contractor, beginning the procurement of the UN to bring the contractor on board. The coordination made by the team was outstanding. Really, we were able to maintain this positive behavior of all the parties. I think all the people that came here on the podium this morning to talk explained that maybe the magic of the success was the fact that there was this partnership approach, which we have been able to retain all along the process, even when there were actual challenges. We had a fluid communication between the parties, for sure another important aspect of the success. Meetings, but not only meetings. There was a platform that was set up by the contractor. Aconex, I don't know if anybody heard about it, but for us it was crucial and critical, a single place where all the documents and everything can be exchanged and can be actually managed. there were challenges given by the time zone as well, because we were working with a consultant in Australia, contractor in the United Arab Emirates or in Europe, people here on site. As I said, it's a physical construction at the end, it shall happen here. We had a decision to be taken in New York. Sometimes it was very, very difficult. David passed some night in front of the computer to meet the people in New York, for instance. And the people in New York waking up very early not to oblige David to stay till midnight. So it was really interesting to see how multicultural situation can also be affected by simple things like the time zone where we are living. And we passed through 1.5 years of pandemic. Here in Ethiopia was not affecting same as it was, or let's say the impact or the decision of the government was different by the one that were taken in the States or in Europe. We were in the middle of a troubled procurement process, and keeping the morale and the commitment high some weeks was very, very difficult. But we overcome also that situation. Luckily, not only us, but the entire world was able to overcome that situation. And we came back to the last 2 years. So out of 8 years, only 2 years were in fact spent for the actual construction. This shall also be an important part of the lesson learned. So the design, but more than the design, the planning and the procurement process brought us to spend 6 years before being able to do the actual construction. Yes, there was a bankruptcy, there were some situations that we can call a little exceptional, but not actually so exceptional. It's not that uncommon that some company that is supposed to be the one carrying on the job, then at the last minute resulted to be not compliant or not suitable or not wishing anymore to continue. In the construction, it happened. Here it happened, and we have really been persistent, resilient, I would say, in continuing. And the 2 years of construction at the end were very much intense, because we were really running, not behind the time, because we planned to do it in 22 months, and at the end it took 22 months from the letter of the notice to proceed to do it. But we realized that that program was very tight. It was intense since the beginning. So since the beginning, we were obliged to review the plan. I don't know how many versions of the working program we have at the end made. Even Simon cannot recount how many, but how many? 7 different programs. It was revised. To adjust to the actual situation, and being able to complete without additional delays was really an outstanding result. I'm supposed to talk a little about the handing over process, which in fact we started with our colleagues. Some of them are here. I see Marcel left, but Ergen is here, and some are online as well. Because as I was commenting with David before, when we do this big investment, we focus on the investment. We have to spend the money, and in a certain time. But then these investments shall be exploited. It shall be used in a proper manner, and to allow the final users to do, you need to have this transition. You have to be able to involve them, make them familiar with the elements of the project, and enable them to apply the lesson that you have learned in terms of technical lesson, in terms of making this this whole functioning, so they have to learn how to manage the control room, which is a very complex environment, but they have also to know how to clean it, how to, for instance, the canvas that was restored, avoiding any kind of damage, or how to operate the lift, or how to treat the different elements that we have there, interpret the booths, and so on and so forth. So we started this process well ahead of time. At the beginning, as usual, we found some reluctance. We found some resistance to change that is normal in the human being. But I have to be sincere, the final users, the operator, the maintainer are now very much on board, especially in this last month. They have been more and more attending the training that we are doing parallel with the commissioning. We have almost completed the commissioning, not yet. We expect to complete this commissioning, or let's say the most important commissioning, next week, and to hand over the building at the beginning of November. In fact, there was a major test yesterday of this handover because all the parties were deeply involved in the inauguration and in how to operate successfully the whole. This handing over process will last at least another 3 to 6 months because we need to make sure that the people get not only acquainted of everything, but also take the ownership. This resistance to change is also the resistance to take the ownership, because there is a moment in which you leave and the perfume of the rose that I was saying at the beginning is not enough. You need to have actual knowledge of how to make it functioning in all its details. So we will accompany this process till the end of the definite liability period. I think this was a strategic decision that it was taken at the beginning. And I think it's a very important decision because we'll avoid the panic and we'll also ensure a smooth transition. We have downsized the team, as I said, but we will grant that the technical support will be here all along the definite liability period in a way that we will really close out the project in a fair and successful manner. So the final report will be issued in a year from now. But I am sure that much before than that, we shall be able to really hand over everything, including the correction of all the defects that we have already identified. How many we have, Simon? Many. Still, is normal in a complex situation like this. There are a lot of little situations that need to be corrected or rectified because not everything can come as it should. Even if, from an aesthetic point of view, all the people, the visitor that came, as the ES was saying this morning, was very much satisfied. I have a lot of defects that we have already identified, and I would like the company to correct. I am sure that they will correct because so far they have demonstrated a strong commitment to the project. I will give the floor to Lauda to conclude with the lesson learned, and then if we are not too tired, we can have maybe a 10-15 minutes of discussion. If anybody wanted to do something, it is very much welcome. Lauda, the floor is yours with the lesson learned.
Afternoon, everyone. Just a way of introduction. I am the contracts manager for the Africa Whole project, with Mr. Antonio having already highlighted some of the lessons learned. They're just a few key lessons learned that I would like to share with everyone. This project has been a phenomenal project. It is a very complex project, as the other speakers have already mentioned. It has involved multiple stakeholders, and there were just some key lessons learned that we have had to capture throughout the project. Of importance, why do we have the lessons learned? Why capture these lessons learned? This project being a pilot for the ECA and for future projects, we have had to capture these lessons learned so that other projects can produce optimal results. They can increase the efficiency in terms of capital and construction projects within the UN. And some of the lessons learned, the best practices that we've seen in this project is so that other projects or future projects can develop future structured processes, streamline works, and adhere to certain industry practices within construction. I want to start off with a few construction slogans before I discuss this slide. Most of the time, at the end of a construction project, universally, certain slogans that you will hear will be like, we nailed it, or, we are laying the foundations for life, or we are turning ideas into action, or something like from concept to creation. So in order to reach there, as the Africa Whole project, we have had to lay certain bricks, which included having a project governance structure to monitor the project and to provide certain oversight. We quickly learned at the beginning of the project that it was important to have an independent project director, to have a dedicated team, to have a lead consultant to provide technical advice for the project. And there were certain key pillars that the project had to stand on. And these included procurement, as already discussed by the Chief of Procurement, certain key lessons learned in terms of having innovative procurement or solicitation types for the main works construction in particular. And also, the contract administration had to be quite different from your traditional contract administration of the ECA. This also included putting together a project-specific agreement. We've also had lessons learned in having certain processes related to change management processes. How do we manage changes? Construction is like a very moody, beautiful woman where you don't know how her mood will be. Today she's happy, later on she's sad, but you need to be agile. So with the agility that was needed, these processes we had to put together, and we've learned from them. We've also learned that we had to have a quality management system, a risk management system. We've had to identify who will be the key players, who will provide the project oversight, who will provide the project assurance. We've worked with our counterparts in HQ. We've had to work very closely with all of our contractors. So these are the key pillars on which our lessons learned lie. So as already discussed by Mr. Ali Assad, the one thing I want to reiterate on the procurement process was using this multi-stage RFP with dialogue required innovation. and thinking out of the box. And in addition, paying attention to detail as relates to all of the design elements in the bidding documents. And hence, we've had challenges. We've had challenges from having to reissue the main work solicitation and ensuring that all of our documents are clear and all of our prospective bidders can understand them. On the implementation, as I mentioned earlier, the contract administration, the implementation is a key pillar on the lessons learned. We've quickly had to learn that we have to monitor strict compliance with the design specifications throughout the project. And we do that, or we did that, by ensuring that everyone involved has got a mutual technical understanding of what is required. It wasn't easy. This involved having daily, weekly meetings. It involved having a series of specific engineering workshops that were undertaken. It involved literally going page by page in having a kickoff meeting with our contractors and going through what is required of all the parties involved. So a lesson learned is having regular discussions, especially during our handing over process, where we were quickly trying to reach substantial completion, but at the same time doing it with the quality and within time, right? We have to do it with what is expected of the project. It is highly encouraged that these discussions with your contractors, which we've had, and we've also made mistakes as well, but have these discussions as early as possible. Everyone should know what their role should be. Have your handing over documents as a deliverable, something to think about in future. Having the delivery of handing over documents as a deliverable linked to milestone payments. What does this do? This fosters accountability for everyone involved. We have had to focus as well on what do we do when we are faced with external threats, external challenges. And some of these with the Africa Whole project included political instability that happened in 2021. What do? Do you halt the works? Do you send everyone home? Surely not. We've mentioned that this was not a virtual project. This was a physical construction project that required physical presence on site. And having to work together with the host government, being proactive with our counterparts and our stakeholders with any security issues, having to be nimble, even with our works on site during the COVID-19 pandemic. This included also a lesson learned in having a contingency plan. A business continuity plan that we've had to quickly think of. We've had to think of adjusting our works on site to all the COVID-19 regulations, having our health and safety plans in check together with our contractors. And I just want to mention, ladies and gentlemen, that we have substantially completed this project with no major security incidents on site. This speaks volume to our team learning, ensuring that there's strict oversight on site and that there's communication. We've also had to ensure that all of the materials that were needed on site, the shipping materials, issues on visa, we needed our experts on site. This doesn't always happen easily, but we've had to be proactive, work with the host government and ensure that any impact that is, well, potentially or essentially out of our control, like the situation of the Red Sea, impacting a landlocked country like Ethiopia, that also impacted our sea freight shipping. So With that, we've also quickly learned that it is very important that we work with the host government. It is of essence that we don't just think of what do we do now, but we think of, okay, what may happen? So the concept of assumptions really doesn't exist. It is important that we don't make assumptions, but that we are on time in what we do and that we're proactive. Some of the other lessons learned, we have incorporated them in our risk management processes. And these include being on time in terms of decision-making. We've had to put together processes for approvals for any claims or changes that will involve the senior management of ECA to approve, or any owner-director changes. Of course, in a construction project, changes are the norm. And also, what about global market escalations? What about force majeure that I mentioned, like COVID? Collaboration with other parties involved, with our contractors, with our lead consultant, with ECA, with our other stakeholders like the Global Asset Management Policy Services in New York. These are some of the aspects that we've had to put together in terms of our risk mitigation strategies. So, why learn and why have best practices? You have to set a clear project scope. Like I mentioned, early planning in the construction phase is the wisest thing to do. And the setbacks that we have experienced within the project from the timeline of the main works construction works, we've had to anticipate them. We've had to communicate regularly. So these are the best practices that we will take forward even for future projects. Staying on top of trends, market trends, you know, staying on top of the weather. Our contractors had to work during the rainy season. Nothing has had to stop. We've had to put together all mitigation measures, even when the weather says otherwise. And that will foster an efficient construction project management. I just want to end with something. Learning is a journey, ladies and gentlemen, and we have not stopped capturing the lessons learned from this project, from what our contractors have captured to what we have captured. This is something that future generations, we hope that will learn from. I would like to leave you with an African proverb. Wealth diminishes with usage. Learning increases with use. So let's learn from the challenges we faced. Let's acquire knowledge. Let's implement these works, and let's do our best for future projects and have an efficient capital project or future project with ECA going forward. Thank you.
But if anyone want to have a floor, I think, David, maybe you want to say something, or anybody?
Thank you. Apologies. Thank you very much, Antonio. My name is David McQuaig. I'm the project director for the SHP in Geneva. And very different project, but very similar as well. I've learned quite a bit, and thank you for the invitation. Listen, first of all, congratulations on the great work you've done here. I think it is a remarkable facility, well worth reinvesting in. And having been here since yesterday and hearing all the dignitaries and looking at that, I think the project benefits from very strong support from the senior leadership, which I can tell you is essential. I think that's what gets you through the difficulties when they do arrive. I have a few questions or comments maybe that you can, you've talked around some of them, but I'm just curious on what has been the impact of the COVID pandemic on the project? It was mentioned a little bit, but more specifically on the supply chain, did you see escalation in prices? Things, you've mentioned the Red Sea, of course, things taking longer to get here. So I'd just like to hear a little bit. If I understand your project schedule, most of the construction work kind of happened post-COVID, but I'm still curious to hear the impact. I guess the other question I have, and I'll stop there, is what has been the greatest risk that you've encountered? And I mean, what happened in this project that was truly unexpected? Thank you.
Thank you, David. Well, regarding COVID, the most important impact was related to the timeline, in the sense that we were in the middle of the procurement process. And of course, it was extremely difficult at that time to find someone who want to take the risk to participate in a project where there was some big uncertainty. And of course, the delay, as you mentioned, always bring escalation, because the impact just after COVID of the shipping, which is an important part for this project. We all know that the prices went up because of the disruption of the shipping chains and the supply chains in general. The most unexpected element of the project, for what I recall, but I will leave also maybe Ali to comment on this, was in fact the bankruptcy of that company, because it happened suddenly, no? So we award the contract, and after less than 6 months, this company declared bankruptcy. So it was really, you sign a contract, you expect the company to be ready to take the commitment, otherwise, no. And a few months later, they had this disappointing situation. So that was really the major risk that we couldn't really actually consider. We had the risk, of course, of contractor failure in our risk register, but not at this major level, and also sudden level, because it was really something that caught all of us completely unprepared. Just few months after you sign a contract, when you are waiting the bank guarantee, the bank guarantee will come next week, and this, and then we start understanding that there were some situation, and one day they came and said, sorry, it was a joint venture, and the lead company of the joint venture bankrupt. So that I would say it was the most important. Ali, do you want to add something, or the most unexpected risk that happened here?
Okay, so on the COVID-19, as Antonio said, we were in the middle of the process. All the dialogues actually done virtually through Teams. So there was not actual implementation of the project, and the construction phase started. On the risks, there are some risks that I will like to mention. Is about, first of all, the sourcing. Finding a suitable vendor for this project. Especially, I don't know if it is known to everyone that, we did a process at the beginning and it was failed because the vendor went into bankrupt. and we have to make another trial, another procurement process, which we use this multi-stage RFP with competitive dialogue to find a suitable vendor who is capable to do this multi-million high value, high risk project. The timeline taken also is not one of the risks. That it's not like any traditional RFP. We have to do 2 dialogues and negotiation. There is something also, this UN general terms and conditions of the contracts is not negotiable. This is, set by United Nations, and no one can waive them. It happened that the vendor, asked for some, negotiation on one, it's like liability cap and something else that he needed to negotiate, which is, we have to take, some approvals, some high-level approvals from HQ, which took some time, which added to the risk of time. Thank you.
We are late, as I said. The other people are coming in, but I will allow one more comment if there is. Ergen, do you want to say something to us? Ergen is the Chief of Facility Management.
Thanks, Antonio. And thank you for all the great presentations. I'm Ergen Özbadem, Chief of Facilities Management. So actually, I have a question for you, Antonio. So knowing what you know now and all the experience you went through, procurement, design, construction, and if you had the chance to start from the beginning, would you consider, like this is a traditional design build, right? So would you consider a design build delivery model? And do you think there will be any benefits from schedule and budget perspective?
Well, I think design and build has been brought to the attention of the public institution and particularly the UN, I don't know how many times. But so far, it has been very difficult, if not impossible, to find a balance between the advantage and the complexity of our procurement rules. So design and build is something that has a lot of, I don't want to say gray area, but area in which the responsibility is not well defined, and also is something that imply a level of flexibility from the client that I think it is really, at least for the experience that I saw, it has been difficult to implement in the UN. Not impossible, because, for instance, other agencies are trying to go there, like UNOPS, for example. When you entrust the design and then the construction in an open manner, like the design and build, because you ask to design, and of course, after the design, you know exactly what are you going to build and not before. Ali will not be very happy to tell we can give such a big contract without knowing exactly what is the scope of work, and sometimes you need to have some mechanism, and you need also to have some maturity in the institution, which I don't think it is yet the case, at least here at ECA. This was the first major construction project and process that we did in the last 10 years, maybe more than that. Before it was the new office building, but it was at the beginning of the 2000s, so it was 15 years, 20 years ago. And if you don't have that level of maturity, I don't know if in Geneva they have been able to implement something like design and build, but if you don't have that level of maturity not only within the project team, but also within the procurement team and within the leadership as well. So I don't think, but it is a way to continue explore, I think, because it will give you much more tools in terms of adjusting and in terms of really updating the situation while it is coming. And of course, it gives you also more flexibility in the management that you are having with the construction company, because it's the one who did the design, and they cannot blame the designer because of the error. Basically, not. No, of course, it's not that the purpose of the design and build. Don't know, David, do you want to add something? I think we discovered another defect.
Yeah,
The
I wanted to
microphone.
add to David's question about, the risks. Actually, all the contracts, the seven contracts were let into fixed price lump sum contracts with the schedule of rates to allow the contractor to price post-contract variations in case there are variations. There are many because it's a pilot project. So the vendor took, or the bidder or the contractor in this case, the risk of quantities when they are maintaining the price. And they maintain the price all over the project. So that I wanted to say something about mitigation of the risks that we took about this project. The main works was let into a FIDIC contract, red book, with many schedules, 24 schedules or 20, 23, 24 schedules. But the other contracts were simple contracts on the form cleared by OLA. The main contract was this FIDIC one. Thank you.
Thank you. Interesting discussion. On design build, I do have some opinions. When I joined the UN and took over the project in 2017, one of the first things I did was reverse previous decisions on the way the project was going. In fact, we had a brand new office building, which now is done and we're occupying, that was done on a kind of a traditional design bid build type model, and that turned out reasonably well. And the most complicated bit of the project was the renovation of the historic palais, which was done in sections of work. There was some significant business continuity imperatives and all of that, and heritage, and like layer it all on. It was a degree of complexity. And my predecessor in his wisdom was going to do that as a design build. My view was the complete opposite. We should have done the new office building as a design build, because that is something, and I agree with the level of your assessment, Antonio, level of maturity and understanding in the organization is important. But when you're talking with office accommodation, there are standards of performance for these things, and you can set at a certain level and the number of meeting rooms you need. So that, in my view, would have been, that's manageable. You could do that. For the renovation, we backed away from it and reverted to essentially what you've done here in a two-step process, competitive dialogue. And essentially our goal is to get, both the contractor and us to a high level of confidence with the number and, the proposal that's on the table. So, the lowest compliant bid was not going to make us comfortable. So essentially we came back to that proposition. But I do think there's a role for design build. But in terms of office accommodations, if you come to Geneva, you'll visit the new office building. It's an interesting building, but in construction terms and architectural terms, it's not exceptional. It is like any other new office building you'll find in any other city in Europe. It's a nice standard, but in that way, it would have been a good candidate for design build, and we probably would have, saved ourselves a bit of trouble. In terms of administration, it's quite onerous. It turned out it's 120 million franc building. And we are doing that management while we are planning and designing the other 400 million renovation. So it was, in retrospect, probably more effort than was required. And but I was too late to reverse that decision. It was already tendered by the time I got there. But I think the clear lesson learned is what you did, I think, is the right way of doing it. The two-step process with dialogue. You want to keep people engaged. We are not in a market where neither you here or us in Geneva, where we're dominating the market and, you know, and setting the prices and setting the market. To be successful, you need to be responsive to the market that you're living in. So you need to make your project interesting for the industry that they want to do it and they want to compete for it. Thank you.
Thank you, David, Ergin, Ali. Very last comment, if any. I think we can leave the room for the next meeting. Thank you very much again to the team and to everybody for today, for this long journey. And I'll see you next.